Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis Damian Podcast, episode 61. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you guys have any questions you would like to ask us, you can leave a voice message at the Anchor link or in the YouTube comments section. Today, we're going to be talking about gaming and entertainment news, such as Knuckles in the Sonic movie.
Knuckles in the Knuckles movie.
Yep, Knuckles in the Knuckles movie, and the PlayStation news that has been going on. Next, we're going to be talking about our recent activities, including Returnal and Edens Zero manga. Then our thoughts on the new Ratchet Clank Rift Apart gameplay. Last, our closing thoughts on the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale. So, first piece of news is that PlayStation has decided to not close the PlayStation 3 and Vita stores, but they will still be closing the PSP store after hearing players on Twitter just sort of being like, you know, why are they doing this, etc., etc. So yeah, this is a good thing, obviously, to anyone that, you know, is sort of on a buying spree with the digital stores. Maybe that was Sony's plan all along to get you to buy stuff on those stores. But the PSP store is still going down, which is understandable. I mean, I don't know who the hell uses a PSP in 2021, but to those few people that are, unfortunate. But I'm sure for the most part, PSP physical games are not that expensive. But I hope with this announcement, the prices on eBay for like PS3 and Vita games goes down. I'm not sure. I haven't checked since the last time I checked, which was like before this announcement, but it's definitely good to go and see that this online store is going to be up for however many years Sony decides to keep it up, because obviously digital fronts are not going to be up forever.
Yeah, like I'm happy they finally listened to like the everyone being like, "Yo, don't do that," and Sony's just like, "Okay." I mean, I'm kind of happy I didn't panic buy because I'm lazy, and I was like, "Well, if I am gonna panic buy, I'll just wait until like the thing is about to go down." But it does show that they could take down these digital storefronts anytime. You know, usually I'm like I get most games digitally at this point just because I'm lazy, but you know, it really does show that digital media isn't gonna exist all the time. You know. Sony and Microsoft has done a good job sort of like transferring your library from system to system. Obviously, the PS3 to PS4 was like really rough because you couldn't do that, but PS4 to PS5 has been pretty smooth, I think. But it does show, again, that they could just take down this stuff anytime, and games could just be lost forever, especially digital-only games like, you know, Ratchet Clank, Quest for Booty and stuff. But yeah, it's great for them to see that, you know, this has value. I mean, I wish they would just make it so we could just buy PS3 games on PS5 and then maybe find some way to like emulate it to make it work, because I would just love to have the convenience of not, you know, plugging in my PS3 every time I want to play something on there. So hopefully they were able to bring like more backwards compatibility like later down the line, because I know Microsoft did that with the Xbox as well. Like over time you could play more and more Xbox games. So hopefully Sony takes this as like, hey, people actually want to play old games and like, you know, re-experience like some nostalgia and stuff. And it seems like easy money for them too. Like if you have to rebuy all these games, people would do it anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Sony can be a little weird sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the PlayStation 3 in particular, like a lot of those indie developers that develop games exclusively on the PlayStation 3 were like, yeah, we had like no notice. So maybe now they're like looking for ways to like, you know, sort of immortalize their games maybe through like limited run, or like maybe trying to look to release them elsewhere, because that definitely sucks for those indie developers that were like, hey, you know, like this storefront's now going down and we had no idea. So maybe this now gives them time to figure out solutions to those who that want those games on other platforms and still want to play them for years to come. So yeah, you know, digital gaming is always sort of like a touchy subject, I find. Well, maybe not touchy, but, you know, a very complicated situation, just because, you know, the convenience of digital nowadays is like so like easy and instant. But at the same time, you know, you do lose that sort of factor where you actually own the games, and like how long will these games be on the storefront, etc. Whether it's like licensing issues like with the Scott Pilgrim game previously. So yeah, definitely digital is here to stay, but like it definitely has some room to work with.
Yeah, they just gotta figure out like how they'll be able to like transfer things from console to console, because on PC it's pretty easy because, you know, there is no new consoles. It's just like, you know, you just upgrade your hardware. But for consoles it's always like a more tricky situation. Like Nintendo doesn't even try most of the time. They're kind of just like, well, it's a new console, so whatever. But yeah, that's a discussion for whenever we get up to that point. All right, so we got some news about No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. So Alfred Molini details Doc Ock's return in Spider-Man No Way Home. got an exclusive here. So in an earlier conversation, he says Watts told him that the movie would pick up Doc Ock's story from that moment in the river, which in a franchise that includes multiverses, time travel, and diverging timelines, it makes sense. They're going to be using de-aging CGI, like what they did with Nick Fury and Captain Marvel and Tony Stark in Captain America Civil War. I forgot they did that in that movie, yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I guess, like, this is just a thing we know now, so he's just going to be in there, huh?
Uh-huh.
I remember this was, like, rumored, but now they're just saying, that, oh, he's just in the movie now.
Well, it's literally just him.
Yeah, just him. Like, it's really weird. Like, this movie has so much, like, stuff we don't know, but everyone's saying there's gonna be things and stuff. Like, it just seems like so much stuff, and we just don't know, like, officially. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, the fact that he came out within this interview and was like, yeah, like, I am in the movie. I'm sure, like, Kevin Feige and everyone at Marvel was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, can you get, like, sued for this, or like
I mean, literally, when Jamie Foxx announced his thing and he went on Instagram and posted that image of him as Electro, along with, I guess, like, the concept art with, like, Tom Holland and the other two Spider-Man, like, obviously, like, that was pretty telling. I thought that was, like, a fake, like, post or whatever, but he actually did that. I think that this movie, like, if it doesn't lead up to Spider-Verse at this point, people are going to be like, what the hell was all this, sort of like play going on? Because, Marvel's known to, like, do, like, their really weird and, like, interesting twists with, like, and sort of play them out for jokes, which I think in Iron Man 3 it worked with the Mandarin. Was it the Mandarin? I don't even know.
I forget what his name is, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so with that villain, and then more recently within WandaVision, not to, like, spoil it, but, there was a twist that happened that was sort of played for laughs, unfortunately. But, personally, I'm not too upset about it. I thought that it was kind of funny. But I know a lot of people that had, like, theories, etc., were very upset about that. But when it comes to No Way Home, like you said, like, we know everything, but we also know nothing. Just because they're trying to keep it secret, but a lot of things have come out and leaked, etc. And yeah, I mean, I just think that this movie is going to be insane either way. It's going to make a lot of money either way because it is another Spider-Man movie, and Spider-Man movies are historically known to just rake in a bunch of money, no matter how good or how bad it is. So... yeah, I'm just interested to see whenever the goddamn first trailer comes out, because however that first trailer is sort of, like, presented, like whether we see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all of these other villains within the trailer, if that's in there, that's 100% going to be, like, the most viewed, like, movie trailer, like, instantly.
Yeah, like, I don't know if they're going to... I mean, at this point, they kind of have to just show, like, all the other Spider-Men in the trailer. Like, everyone knows at this point. Like, it would have been cool if everything was, like, kept secret and then people just went to see the movie and, like, just Tobey Maguire pops out of nowhere. That would have been cool. But obviously, like, no one could keep their goddamn mouth shut. So now we know everything about this freaking movie before it comes out. But yeah, I feel like that first trailer has to, like, at least show Tobey Maguire. Like, that would just get it, like, so many goddamn views. So many people are going to watch it. Yeah, it's going to be like an event when this movie comes out, since there's just so many different stuff going on. But yeah, I'll be excited once we actually know what's going on.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of what ifs and buts, because Daredevil's supposed to be in the movie apparently with Charlie Cox, and I think that if he is recast for that role, that would get a lot of people excited, because when it comes to the Marvel Netflix stuff, his shows were definitely the best part of that, so much so that it spun off into the Punisher series, which the first season was good. I haven't fully watched the second season because there's no reason to, because it's kind of canned, but I think that everyone that has watched the Marvel Netflix stuff can agree that Daredevil's most likely the strongest sort of show that they had.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I still didn't watch it fully, but I always heard it was, like, really amazing. So
yeah, I mean, all you really need to watch is, like, the Daredevil stuff, season 1 of Jessica Jones and Punisher, and maybe season 1 of Luke Cage. But other than that, I think the rest can be skipped. I mean, Iron Fist, Iron Fist is Iron Fist. And then season 2 of Luke Cage, I sort of trickled off on it, and I don't know, it just didn't, like, interest me. I'm not sure what it was, but it is what it is. Speaking of Marvel stuff, we got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We got an official trailer for it. There was a lot of backlash with the inclusion of Awkwafina because of some controversy that she had. I mean, like, personally, like, whenever I see her in movies, like, she is a sort of she does stick out, because that it's Awkwafina, and she sort of plays as herself in most movies. I forget which one, which movie it was, but she appeared in. It was a much more serious movie. I'll look it up when Damien gets to talk. But I didn't have a problem with her in the trailer. I'm sure that she plays like a vital role within the movie itself. But yeah, I am, as an Asian American, I'm obviously very, very interested to see on how Marvel pulls this off for a Asian-led Marvel movie, and on top of that, with a mostly Asian cast.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it looks cool, right? Like, it's kind of like how I felt with Black Panther, right? It's a good like representation and stuff. And this is a good way to change the style. So obviously, it looks a lot more like martial arts and stuff. And again, that's why I really like Marvel movies, because they just change their style like all the time. So again, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like that's not the same as this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's totally different genre as a movie. And this one looks like just a good like martial arts, and like obviously still has all its Marvel flavors and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited for it. I don't really know why do people hate this lady? What, she just plays herself in things? Or?
Awkwafina. I mean, I think she had some controversy about what's it called? Like sort of I forget what was it. It was like cultural appropriation, something like that. She was sort of like blurring the lines. I didn't look too deep into it because it's just the internet being the internet, and I'm not exactly sure what she said or what she did. But like she's in the movie already, and like they already filmed everything, so like the backlash isn't going to change anything about her being in the movie itself. The movie that I was talking about earlier with like the much more serious role that she was in, The Farewell, I thought she did fine in that movie, and in Crazy Rich Asians I thought that she was fine there too. I mean, she definitely played the more comedic role in that movie, but I mean, I don't personally have a problem with her. Maybe I should look more into this in terms of like what the cultural appropriation thing that she was doing. But yeah, it just seems interesting that literally when this trailer dropped, everyone was like distracted by like her inclusion in the film. So
okay, I didn't know anything about it, so I was just like, this is a cool trailer. I do like the part at the end where she's like, yo, who are you? And just does a cool pose, and like, I didn't answer her question. But yeah, it definitely looks really interesting. Like, obviously, I'm always down for new heroes to come in, and now that we finished the whole Infinity Saga, wherever they called it, it's gonna be nice to get like a new set of heroes to come in. I know usually like the first like movies aren't the best, like usually like they're kind of just introductions of the characters. There's some standout. Like I thought Guardians one was really good, but things like Doctor Strange one was just okay. But Doctor Strange is like a fun character once he got out of that. Like his like origin movie. We all know how it is. So hopefully this movie doesn't suffer that like same fate. Let's just hoping for a good fun time. That's really all I can ask for with origin movie, basically.
That's all you could really ask for in like any movie, but especially in Marvel movies, because that's just what they're known for these days. But yeah, I just want it to be good. That's all I can really ask for.
I think it will. Like I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. Like most Marvel movies are just like either like okay to like great. So like I think it's gonna be good. And I believe it's gonna be, when is this coming out? Actually forgot.
September 3rd in theaters.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm still going to be going to the theaters, but maybe but we'll see how the world is shaking.
Yeah, we'll see at that point. All
right, so next bit of news, we got Knuckles. Knuckles confirmed for the Sonic movie 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So yeah, I think they like showed like a statue of him or something like.
Yeah, so pretty much what happened was this leaked a sort of like stand-in statue of the three characters, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, got leaked, and they sort of ran with it. I forget what's his name. He's like a prominent person within Sonic Team and Sega, but he just started like retweeting this stuff and just like didn't care. I was like, all right, cool. I mean, I guess the cat's out of the bag. He's sort of just like embracing it, but. Yeah, I mean, now that Knuckles is in here, I wonder how this movie's going to play out, just because the first Sonic movie was very much like a fish out of water experience, where he went from, I guess, it's not Mobius, but, like Sonic's world into Earth, and I wonder how this movie's going to play out, bringing now more Sonic characters into the world, and obviously the return of Dr. Eggman and how they're going to handle all of that, so.
I mean, they're probably gonna do it where, because Dr. Eggman was in like Mushroom Planet, or they kept calling it
Mushroom Hill,
which is just Mushroom Hill. Yeah, so that's why it makes sense why he's like, oh, Knuckles is in Mushroom Hill, like in freaking Sonic 3. So he's probably going to like trick him and then like, yo, get Sonic or something, and then it's probably gonna end with them becoming friends and they take that Eggman again. I mean, that's probably my like summary of the plot, what I think is gonna happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty good, I guess, theory about it. And that's probably what's going to happen. I don't see any other way of how Knuckles is going to be brought into the story, elegantly, I guess. But yeah, these stand-ins, I mean, I guess we kind of get to see how Knuckles looks. And obviously, after the first iteration of Sonic, they've obviously taken into very careful consideration to make sure that these characters look like how they did in the games. And yeah, I mean, Knuckles looks good. I'm sure when we get to see his like full CG self, it's going to look even better. So.
Yeah, dude, he doesn't have his stupid white thing on his chest, his Nike logo. I can't live without that.
It'll be there. Don't worry about it.
But no, seriously, he does look pretty good though. Like after seeing the Sonic Boom Knuckles, I'm glad like Knuckles just looks normal. So that's good.
Yeah, he isn't like 6 feet tall or whatever. But
yeah.
Moving on, we got a Deadline article detailing the new deal that Sony reached with Disney to have their movies go on Disney Plus, such as Spider-Man. So this deal is very, very interesting and kind of complicated, and sort of shows like the streaming wars. So theatrical releases from 2022 to 2026 will move to Disney after their runs on Netflix, which earlier this month announced a deal with Sony for a Pay One exclusive as well as co-production rights to direct to streaming films. So a Pay One window, that is pretty much the period which rights are available for such premium cable networks such as Starz and HBO. And I think Disney had a deal with FX at one point where they could like show Marvel movies on the FX channel. I remember seeing like Iron Man 1 on there a while ago. That was like weird for me. I was like, why is this on here? But that sort of like explains what's going on here. So the library rights to franchises like Spider-Man, Jumanji, Hotel Transylvania, and others are part of the package. So pretty much what this deal entails is that after the Netflix run for the Sony movies, they will go to Disney Plus. So that is very interesting. And I think that if Disney is able to get their hands on the other Spider-Man movies and other Spider-Man properties, we can see a future where, the Raimi trilogy, the Mark Webb stuff is going to be on Disney Plus. But on top of that, maybe Spectacular Spider-Man's on Disney Plus, and then maybe we get another season. Who the hell knows? Anything's possible. But, I'm not going to hold my breath, if you will, for a Spectacular Spider-Man season 3 or whatever, because that show has been dead for a while, but you never know. Clone Wars came back and that was kind of crazy. But yeah, I think that this deal is probably seems very complicated to those that just like read the headline and sort of know about the Netflix deal previously, but once you sort of like break it down and sort of understand what's going on here, it makes a little more sense, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, again, we've been seeing a lot of these lately with like all these crazy deals, especially with Disney, because like a lot of the Marvel stuff was very fractured as well, as we all know. Like when Marvel was just selling everything and now Disney hasn't, they're like, like Disney's like Thanos, right? They're trying to collect the rest of the freaking Infinity Stones right now. Like Spider-Man's like the last one they fully need to like fully have him, but yeah, I guess it would be cool if Spectacular Spider-Man does come back. Again, crazier things have happened at this point, especially with, like, dead cartoons coming back for no reason. So, like, I if they really wanted to, that would be sick. I mean, look, I know I'm not the target audience for it, but, like, a lot of the new Spider-Man cartoons are, like, garbage, right? Like, they're just trash. I don't know why, like, they're like this, but, yeah, that's what they are. But, so, yeah, it would be really sick if we could get something like that. But, again, I also wouldn't hold my breath about that. But besides that, it's kind of just, like, one of those deals that we always keep hearing about, and Disney just keeps getting stronger. Everything's gonna be on Disney Plus. I mean, it really is unfortunate for Netflix. Like Netflix is not. It's really, I feel like they're kind of just losing the streaming war now. Obviously they were the first ones to become the popular one, but they keep losing all their stuff to like every other streaming platform just because they keep making either better deals or they're just helping Netflix in the short term, but they're probably going to end up losing in the long term and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where like Netflix goes in particular, because they don't really have a lot right now. Obviously they have Stranger Things, but like we don't know when that's gonna officially come back. I don't think so, because COVID, but. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see what's going to be happening in the streaming wars,
Yeah, I mean, Netflix is definitely investing much more into like original content, which is definitely the right move, which that worked well with Stranger Things. But Stranger Things is supposed to end, I believe, next season, or if not the season after, because I feel like at this point, Stranger Things has sort of ran its course for most people. And yeah, the streaming wars, Netflix was the first one to get in, and now they might be the first one out. Who knows? I mean, there's like a lot of other streaming platforms sort of still battling out. Like Hulu is still one of them. Hulu's been around for a while, but they have yet to sort of meet Netflix on any sort of standard. Obviously, Disney has maybe possibly surpassed them at this point, just because it's goddamn Disney, and with the properties that they have, they were able to create original programming that drew in a lot of new subscribers, such as The Mandalorian, WandaVision, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, and with even more MCU stuff to come. So yeah, I think that the streaming wars is just beginning, and with Disney doing this move, it's gonna sort of clench the fist of Disney even harder on the entertainment sphere.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't really say anything because I work for them, so good job, Disney. All right, so remember Super Mario Party has online now?
Yes,
like
sir.
2 years later or 3 years. When did this game came out? Like 2018?
It came out 2018 in October.
Like, it's like, why? Like, mad late.
Yeah, so literally almost 3 years later, we now have Super Mario Party online update. Now, the only reason they're doing this, my theory, the only reason they're fucking doing this is because Super Mario Party 2 is going to get announced, and that's going to have online play, and that's going to be announced during E3. But now they have the update, so they're trying to get people to like buy this now because COVID's still a threat. Like people who haven't been vaccinated and all this other shit. If you want to play Mario Party online, and y'all got a Switch, you can do that. Or if you want to say fuck Nintendo, you can always do Dolphin Emulator, which I'm not gonna snitch, but it is what it is. But yeah, literally a online update, so now you could play online. I think that is something everyone wanted when it initially came out. Like I think that even I said it possibly, like, why is there no online? But even with this online update, like there's now like a sort of like party feature, like an actual like invite system, which I'm like, Nintendo knows what the fuck that is, like what? But yeah, I think that Super Mario Party, like as a game, I obviously haven't played it in over 2 years because of COVID, but when we were playing it, when we played it, when I went to go visit you and like that Airbnb, like it was fun.
It was fun, yeah.
But I think that multiple play sessions of Super Mario Party is kind of tough just because there's so limited maps and the maps are very linear, and the goddamn gold pipes and the items and how everything worked. The mini games were still fun, they're goddamn mini games. It's kind of hard to like mess that up. But I think that the board variety and sort of how the boards function was sort of lacking, because I feel like the N64 and GameCube titles, like there was a lot more like chaos going on the map itself, and it wasn't just like one straight line, which is pretty much like what most of these maps were. So maybe they need to like bring in new people, more creative people to like create the new maps. Who knows? Maybe that's what Super Mario Party 2 is going to do. But yeah, this online update is definitely 3 years too late in some people's eyes. It definitely woke up a lot of people that morning on Twitter, and I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with everything you said about this game. Like, I honestly thought it was like pretty good. Like, it was probably the best Mario Party we had since like I guess Mario Party 8 when they decided to hey, let's put everyone in a car for no reason. Like, that was really bad. Like, Super Mario Party 9 and 10, I'm sorry, were like not great. Like the Bowser mode was pretty fun in 10. But besides that, it was still like, why are we in a cart? It just felt really lame. This one felt like a step in the right direction, but I felt like they really need to put more effort into the boards. Like you said, I think they are way too small. It's really linear. There's not a lot of paths to go through. So yeah, I think just make the board design just like how they were in the original N64 games or the GameCube games, and then you got yourself a good Mario Party. Because I think the mini games are still really good in this game. You just got to work on the boards, and that's it. And I also had that same theory that they probably are making a second one, so they probably want to, and they probably do want to have proper online, so they're just putting an update to this game, just to see how it would work, and yeah, maybe to get some suckers to buy it right now. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, I guess. I don't know how well it works because I don't actually own the game. I think only you do. There was no real reason to have multiple people to have it. But yeah, overall, it's a good thing. It's just really random and weird.
Yeah, I'm sure that Nintendo saw some surges in sales for like people that have like online friends, and they're like, hey, we can play this or whatever. But I think for us and like our group of friends, we're likely just gonna wait for either Super Mario Party 2 or just whenever we all get back together, because you know it's still $60 for the game, by the way. So it is it is still a steep price for Mario Party, which is still like around the same price for the older games. But at least with the older games, like those are like really really good.
Yeah.
All right, so next bit of news we got here is The Last of Us 3 story is outlined, but it won't be happening anytime soon. So Neil Druckmann recently had an interview on Script Apart podcast, and he sort of was talking about The Last of Us and these franchises as a whole, just from what I was gathering from this IGN article. And he pretty much said that, like he outlined the story for part 3, but he doesn't see it happening anytime soon. So after like big projects like this at Naughty Dog, they pretty much like, ask everyone like, what do you want it to do next? Like, what should we do? And then they sort of, go around and, figure out what they all want to do collectively as a studio. And
Jack and Daxter.
Jack and Daxter is definitely up there, because I know that a lot of people after seeing Ratchet and Clank have brought up, Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Sly Cooper. My apologies. Yeah. But yeah, those two franchises, we would obviously love to see them come back, but it's just a matter of if Sony or Naughty Dog or whoever is in charge wants to really do those games again. But yeah, Last of Us 3, personally, I think that part 2 kind of ended off like decently well. I think that part 1 ended off already like fine, but obviously, they saw the money and they were like, well, shit, we can make another one. And I'm sure Neil Druckmann had more ideas about the universe, and that's why he wanted to make a part 2. And part 2 story still makes sense as a story about hate and a sort of duality from part 1. So part 3 seems a little, strange to me, just because I think that part 1, like I said, ended off fine, and I'm not sure where they would go with part 3, especially since I feel like Ellie's story's kind of done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I wouldn't know how to even do a 3. Like, would I even call it a 3 if like Ellie's stuff is like done? Like, I didn't play the game. I kind of just know the whole story at this point because the outrage that happened when the game came out.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I heard about it, it doesn't seem like they could do more with those characters. It seems like they kind of ended like in a way where you can't really make another one. So it'd be cool if they just either focus on an entirely new character or on like, I guess Abby, right? Like, I don't know, like it kind of just like, I don't know who they were focus on at that point,
Mm-hmm. I mean, like if they were to make a whole game on Abby, like that would be fucking insane.
Yeah,
because
I know.
I'm sure that like they know internally at Naughty Dog like the backlash that character in and of itself caused for this game. And Neil Druckmann isn't stupid. Like he knows exactly how people perceive this game after it came out, because he was active on Twitter and everything like that. But yeah, I think that a part 3, people were asking for it. Some people were asking for it after part 2 ended. But me personally, when I finished it, I was like, all right, I guess that's it for The Last of Us. But then again, I said the same thing with Uncharted 3, and then they made 4, and 4 was like a better conclusion. But then again, Last of Us is in a completely different spot. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it just seems like a weird series to do like multiple sequels to, you know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
I felt like the way 1 ended, I'm like, okay, it just ended like that and that'll be fine. But then 2 happened, and then, yeah, people are probably upset that certain things happened. But I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like really weird. I would rather have Naughty Dog just do a new IP. I don't know if they actually are doing a new IP or not. I think I would just prefer that at this point and just have that be like the new sort of like thing to go forward with for a little bit. But obviously I would like Jack and Daxter, but I highly doubt that would happen because Naughty Dog doesn't seem that interested in doing things like that. But yeah, so I don't know. We're just gonna wait and see.
As long as they don't go back to Uncharted, because I'm fucking done with Uncharted. Like, no offense, I love Uncharted. I'm just fucking done with it. Like, I cannot. Like, Lost Legacy is fine. I just don't want another Lost Legacy. You know what I'm saying? Because Nathan Drake's story is done. I don't want to focus on a new adventurer with like budget Nathan Drake or whatever. Like, just have that franchise be dead. I get it. It made you a lot of money. You guys are coming out with a movie, etc., etc. But the game's kind of done. The series is kind of done. So whatever Naughty Dog does next, I definitely agree with you that they should definitely focus on a new IP or, pray to God, go back to Jack and Daxter.
Yeah, dude, that'd be sick. But as well, speaking of Sony, Sony is aggressively investing in first-party studios and third-party studios. They put in nearly $200 million investing in first-party support and third-party exclusives. So obviously this shouldn't surprise that many people at this point. I think Sony's strategy since like ever has been just to get as many exclusives as they can
Mm-hmm.
and like just win over. I mean, that's why so many people would rather have a PS5 than the Xbox Series X at this point, because Sony has so many exclusives coming out, and Xbox, yeah, like it's a new console and has probably the same amount of power as a PS5, but like it just doesn't have as much to play. Like, we already got, Returnal was probably, well, I guess Demon Souls was the first actual big PS5 exclusive game, but now we got Returnal coming out, Ratchet Clank coming out, Horizon's supposed to come out this year, and God of War maybe, I highly doubt that. But still, like we already know what's coming out. All Microsoft really has is Halo Infinite, and they got delayed because people didn't like how it looked. So, yeah, so it's a really good strategy for Sony to have, and I know some people don't like their being like, oh, they have exclusives always, but I'm like, that's kind of how you sell like your console. Consoles kind of live and die from exclusivity. Like that's why Nintendo is still around, because all their IPs are so strong. And now I will argue that Sony has just as strong IPs as Nintendo at this point. Like, they're just like, I would like happily buy a PS5 for like Horizon, God of War, Ratchet and Clank and stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, it seems to be working really really well, and I can't blame Sony for investing so aggressively into these first party studios and third party exclusives.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really blame how the console war is going, just because if you want to sell consoles, you need games, and to get games, they need to be exclusive to your console. Obviously, Microsoft being extremely friendly with PC, that's good for like the overall sort of gaming sphere. But for them to be ahead in the console war, they need to have console exclusive, which I don't think that they have that idea anymore in their, I guess, sort of internally. Like they would just much rather just be friendly with everyone, which is fine.
Yeah.
But with Sony and Nintendo, like you said, they have these strong IPs, they have these strong exclusives, and because of that, they're able to sell these consoles. That's why the PS5 is still super hard to get. Same thing with the Xbox, and the Switch. When the pandemic started last year, when Animal Crossing came out, obviously you can only play Animal Crossing on the Switch, so everyone was buying a goddamn Switch, and that thing was sold out for months. And nowadays, you can probably walk into a store and hopefully find a Switch. I think that it is definitely much more likely now these days. But yeah, I think Sony aggressively investing into first-party studios and third-party exclusives is sort of expected for me, just because of the Bloomberg article that came out last time when we were talking about it, where they were pretty much like putting all hands on deck on certain projects, which is kind of sus, because if you do that and the project fails, or that project decides to end, like the series is like over, because God of War isn't going to be around forever, Uncharted wasn't around forever, etc. You're not going to have these other smaller titles that you can fall back on and hopefully elevate up. So Sony, the fact that they have Spider-Man, I think is very telling, that like no one can really argue that like Sony has like weak exclusives, because Spider-Man on anything will sell money. And the fact that the Spider-Man games on top of that are also good for kids, adults, and like pretty much everyone that plays games can pretty much equally agree that Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 have been like good titles, is obviously telling. And obviously their original games, like I said, God of War, and Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, etc. All of these games that are gonna come out within the next 5 years, it's gonna push the PlayStation ahead, and they're gonna invest in other third-party games. So don't be surprised if this game that was on multi-platform before is now suddenly exclusive on the PlayStation 5, because Sony will throw a bag towards a title that they think will sell and push more PlayStation 5 sales.
Yeah, like I know, like I know capitalism and stuff, but like that's kind of why this is happening, right? Like you kind of have to throw a bunch of money at studios to make stuff for you, because that's how you sell more stuff. So like I don't know why people get mad and like hate. Don't hate the player, hate the game. You know what I mean? Like this is working with how we work in like this economy. So like that's just how it is. And Sony is just better at doing it, I guess. Microsoft. I mean, we're gonna have to see the fruit of Microsoft's labor, because they just bought a bunch of like things. Bethesda obviously. They have Double Fine and some other people as well. So we're gonna have to see when they actually start releasing games, like when Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, and like freaking Psychonauts 2 that still hasn't come out. So yeah, we're gonna see how Microsoft does, but obviously it's gonna be harder to compete with Sony at this point, because they just built all these legendary franchises since like PS2, PS3 era, and Microsoft has kind of just been sitting there with like Halo and Gears that whole time. They didn't really they really put in the effort when they should have, and now they're really paying for it. So yeah, we're just gonna see what happens there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Sony sort of like fund these games as well, sort of like with Bayonetta 2, right?
Yeah.
With Nintendo, it was like, oh, Bayonetta 2 is coming, but it's only on the Wii U. Well, that's because Nintendo funded that game. If Nintendo didn't fund that game wouldn't have happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sony did this with like certain franchises, certain IPs that were possibly dead, or even, you know, up and coming new ones that were like, hey, you know, like we'll throw a bag to you if it's exclusive on our console. And it may work, it may not. I'm sure that a lot of studios might be like, well, we'll do like a timed exclusive for like a year or whatever, you know, and then see what happens. But yeah, you know, Sony, you know, they got the money. They can use this money that they've been getting from all of the PS5 sales and everything else that they've been doing well over the past couple of years within gaming. So
yep, we just gotta see what happens there, you know.
All right, so last piece of news we got here is Riot Games will now record Valorant voice comms to combat toxicity. So I think that voice comms, you know, like in games, especially competitive games that are online free to play, are definitely important. I think that voice comms in League of Legends is still fucking obsolete. Like that shit is not even in there for some reason. But hey, here's Riot, same developers, putting it into Valorant because they know the importance of voice comms within Valorant. Because you can't just type in like real quick like where someone is, or like you're gonna flash and then flash, because like that's like an extra like 2 to 3 seconds that can be crucial within a strategy FPS, or not a strat. Well, you know, like a goddamn, what's Valorant called? What?
Freaking like
tactical
shooter. FPS.
Yes, tactical
shooter?
FPS.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, coming from the goddamn dumbass that plays it, me. But yeah,
I hate tactical FPS.
I goddamn forgot what it was called. But anyways, you know, voice comms are definitely important, and this game has brought in a lot of new people to the sort of genre, including myself. You know, I did play some CSGO, but it was like, you know, gun game and shit, and it was never serious. But, you know, this game, I still don't play it serious, but, you know, I definitely take it a little bit more serious than CSGO just because all of my friends play it, and it is overall a pretty good time. It's just that when you play with randoms, which is like my main thing, is like when I play this game, I make sure I have at least 3 other friends. If not, it's a full stack 5 party. Just because, you know, the one guy that's toxic can definitely, you know, be hurtful for the team. And, you know, this game has also brought in a large female audience, and like that's not like a sort of like sexist thing. Like for real, like there's a lot of girls that play this game, not just like Pokimane and like all of the other like big streamers. Like a lot of girls do play this game, and they are obviously very hesitant to turn on their mic and sort of, you know, make these calls and make these comms because, you know, they're afraid some dumbass and some fucking incel is gonna shout at them and call them a bitch and, you know, go back to the kitchen and shit like that, because people are fucking shitty human beings. So yeah, I think that them recording voice comms is a good thing. I don't think that this is a invasion of privacy, because this is Riot's game. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And if they want to combat toxicity, which obviously this is a Riot game we're talking about here, I think the only Riot game that isn't toxic is probably like TFT and like their card game. But like League of Legends and Valorant, which are their 2 biggest games, they have extremely toxic community. Well, not extremely. I wouldn't say Valorant's extremely toxic, but League's definitely toxic. You know, just like toxic, you know, player bases. And like to combat this one, especially with voice comms that are being used primarily to communicate and you know, show whether who's being toxic and who's not, them recording is fine. I think that this is not a invasion of privacy. I think that once you agree to the terms of service when you are signing up to play Valorant, Riot can do whatever they want, and they could change those terms of services whenever they want. And that includes them wanting to now record the voice comms to make it sort of safe and inclusive for everyone is what they said. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like, it's just like when you're in voice comms, I basically equate that to like just walking down the street and shouting stuff. Like, you're in public, so whatever you say, you know, you're in public, right? Like, you can't just say a slur while you're walking down the street and not expect to get like arrested or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I equate voice chat to. Like, you're like literally talking in public to other people. Like, you don't really have any privacy at that point. If it was like a DM or something, then maybe like, I mean, even then I'm pretty sure they have your logs and stuff. But still, like maybe at that point there might be some argument or whatever. But like in in voice comms, I feel like that's fair game for you to like get recorded and get like shut down if you say something really bad. Because again, like at that point you're just in public talking to other people. You know what I mean? Like you should not be a jerk about everything you're saying and say like awful things. Because you could be expected to get called out on it and reported and stuff. So I honestly think this is a good way to combat toxicity. Because again, like you said, a lot of Riot games are just super freaking toxic. It's kind of why I just like don't bother with it anymore. Because I'm like, damn dog, like why is everyone just so like rude? Like come on, man. So I honestly think this is a good way to combat toxicity. I know some people might be like, oh, invasion of privacy, but like I don't know, you didn't really have it at that point when you're like in a voice chat like publicly in the game. You know what I mean? So I see no problem with this, and I think is a good step forward for Riot to really address their like rampant toxicity in all their games. So
Yeah, that's definitely why within League, like people, when Discord became popular, people would like post like Discord links and then just be like, hey, join so we can like voice comment. I'm like, I don't want to do that because that's like a third party thing. And like, if you say some shit to me, like there's no way for me to like, have proof of that. So I just like never did that and just sort of like, played it in my lane and just like typed whatever I needed to type and, ping whatever I needed to ping. But like League of Legends is obviously like a different game where like voice comms would definitely be helpful, especially in like team fights and like really like quick scenarios, to sort of like get everyone on the same page. But with Valorant, like there's no like the only time you would type is after you're dead. Is it and like all right, well this guy's like lit 110 or whatever, like that's the only time that I would type because you calming that after you die could like mess up the last player standing or whatever. So like that's when like you would type to not flood up the voice comms. So. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. People just have to stop being fucking shitty human beings, and we could get past this because I think that people need to remember that everyone is going through shit, especially nowadays, and it should be normalized to just be nice to each other, because we're all going through it, guys. We're all going through it, whether it or not. Like everyone's going through something right now, so. Just fucking be nice, guys. Come on.
Yeah. The answer that would be a totally different place. Everyone would just be nice, but obviously that won't be happening like ever.
Yep. Anyways, let's get into our recent activities. So I'm gonna let Damien go first because as always I have a big ass list. So let's go.
Yeah. Busy with school. Like now that school's over, I probably will have a lot more things to talk about. But I got 2 new releases here. So I got Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139 repeating, which is actually the square root of 1.5. So that's pretty clever because it's a re-release, but or a remaster anyway. But anyway, so this is a remaster of Nier Replicant, or I guess Nier Gestalt, which was what it was called in North America, and this came out in 2010, I believe. And when that game first came out, no one really knew what Nier really was at this point, and it was kind of just like, hey, it's weird, and like the combat still wasn't really great. Like there was a lot of issues with it, but everyone agreed that the story was really good, had really good music, and was considered like just a cult classic for a while. But review terms got like kind of bombed. It got like 6 and 4s and stuff because people didn't really get it at this point. But then Nier Automata came out in 2017 by Platinum, and obviously that had that same sort of feel with its story and music and stuff, but with Platinum combat. So people started to really appreciate like the writing and stuff, and obviously that game did extremely well. And this game came out and it had revamped combat to match more of what Automata is. It isn't developed by Platinum. It's developed by some studio I never heard of, but it did a good job replicating the combat from Automata into this game, and I think it's just a lot more. Again, I can't compare this to the original because I never played the original game before, but from just playing Automata, the combat definitely does feel about the same as that game. Not as good, but still pretty good. And obviously this game has been reviewing really well now because the game is actually fun to play now, plus having like really good story and characters that I always had from the original game. I'm not too far into it yet because again I've been pretty busy with like finals and stuff, but I think I have a decent grasp on the gameplay. Again, like I said, it's basically the same as Automata, but just not as fluid as that game. There's not as many combos and crazy stuff. Instead of having a pod, which is like a little robot that follows you around that does all your cool special abilities, you have a book instead. So you could do a bunch of like crazy magic attacks while like doing combos and stuff. Apparently in the original game, when you want to do like a spell, you had to stand still and then cast it. So obviously that brought the combat down super hard. This one borrows what Automata did, where you can still attack and run around while like charging up a magic spell, and you can just do it anyway, which again keeps things moving at a nice pace. I guess the only negative thing I could say right now is like the side quests are pretty boring, but I guess that's kind of the point because the main dude who made this game, Yoko Taro, is kind of a crazy boy. Like he's like, he really does like to take gaming conventions and like be like, yeah, that was pointless, right? I'm like, yeah, kind of. But he's a great guy. Like he does a lot of crazy stuff in terms of story and gameplay. Like the game switches perspective a lot. Like sometimes it's just 2D, sometimes it becomes like this weird Diablo style camera. Most of the time it's like a third person action RPG. That's kind of what it is. But it's not afraid to change its style a lot of the time, and it's just a really weird and crazy game. Again, I haven't gone up to all the really crazy stuff yet because I'm still like kind of in the beginning of the game, so I can't really comment on that yet. But from what it is, it's basically everything I thought it would be, so that's really good. It's good to just see like sort of the beginnings of Nier, as this game again is a prequel to Automata, or I guess Automata is the direct sequel of this game, so it's gonna be cool to see a lot of the things from that game I didn't really understand, but now would fully get it from playing this game. So yeah, so far so good. And next, Returnal. So this was the new PS5 exclusive that just came out, like literally came out today. And it's basically a third-person roguelite shooter, bullet hell. It's a lot of things, and it's really good. I actually wasn't gonna get this game at launch. I was probably gonna wait a bit. But the more and more I saw reviews of it and the more coverage I saw, I'm like, yo, this is like my jam. It's literally a AAA roguelite, which is something I've never seen before, and I think this is the first time it's ever been done. And yeah, that's basically what it is. I played a good like 2 hours of it before the podcast, and yeah, it's basically you go room to room, you shoot up a bunch of guys, you get guns, you get like sort of Metroidvania style upgrades. The further you go in, those are permanent, so you could go back to earlier areas in the game, like get items you couldn't get before. But besides that, it works very much like Isaac, Gungeon, Hades, just room to room, fight monsters, keep going. But also does the thing that I said more roguelites should do, like in Hades, is have a more like a more like I guess plot, or just have plot in general, since this game would slowly drip feed you plot as you go in through the game. Sometimes you will go through like this weird sort of like PT first person like horror segment that's pretty cool, and you get to learn more lore about what's going on, why you keep coming back from death and stuff like that. It's just really cool how they fuse the story elements with the roguelike elements, and it doesn't really clash too much, I think. And yeah, besides that, it's just a really fast-paced third-person shooter. You're dodging everywhere. You have dashes. You have abilities, consumables. It's basically everything you would want from like a roguelite, but it's like has a AAA production value, and it's like super sick right now. I'm like really digging it. The haptic feedback is great. It actually does some really interesting things with the triggers, where if you hold L2 like halfway down, that's how you aim sights, right? And if you hold it down, then you could do your alt fire, which does like a different thing from your primary fire. And I thought that would be kind of awkward, but it actually works really well because the triggers have like good resistance when you're like try to hold it down just to like aim down the sights, and it doesn't feel too like I thought doing that I would accidentally press alt fire way too many times, but no, it works like perfectly fine. I think it's a good showcase to show what the haptic feedbacks and stuff could do. Obviously you can feel all the rumbles when you're walking around and stuff. Visually the game looks fantastic. It's just all the particle effects are so pretty to look at. Like all the bullets look so pretty, but you have like dodged them and stuff. The 3D audio is also really good since I'm playing with headphones. You're able to hear like every enemy even behind you, and the bullets coming out from like behind you as well. It's like a good way to like sort of avoid bad damage just because you can hear everything that's around you. So overall, it's like really doing a lot of good things to showcase again the power of the PS5 and what it could do while still being a really fun game. And I think this kind of stomps the narrative that Sony's like, hey, we only want blockbuster games, because this is a very, very different AAA game. Like it's again a AAA roguelite, which roguelites are not for everyone. And if you get this game and don't know what you're expecting, I could see you like not liking this game, because again, you die, the game is hard, you would die, you have to restart from the beginning like any other roguelite. And I could see a lot of normies being like, what the fuck is this? This is dumb. So yeah, it's very much not for everyone, but I just love how video gamey it is, and I'm just having a really good time with it so far. I'm really excited to put more time into it and see like how hard it gets, because I heard it gets really hard towards the end, and I'm always down for good bullet hells and stuff. So yeah, overall I'm really enjoying it so far.
All right, so now we got my thing. I'm gonna try to like not talk about the seasonal anime as much, but before we get to that, Godzilla vs. Kong, I watched that today because today's the last day. So I was like, well, shit, if I'm gonna watch it, I might as well watch it today. So I watched it kind of like I was like sort of like half watching it. I was like doing stuff in my room, just like packing up orders or like doing other stuff. So like during the human parts, I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, but like I can tell like once I like sat down and like started watching it, I was like, yeah, this shit's goofy as hell.
Oh yeah.
But the fights are great. It's just two CG monsters just battling it out. Obviously, like on paper, Godzilla would fucking win every single time, but this movie, it's a movie, so Kong gotta win some fights. But yeah, I think that the sort of monster verse is very interesting. I didn't watch. I believe there was a King Kong movie. I didn't watch that.
Skull Island. I didn't watch it either. Yeah.
But I did watch the Godzilla movie, and that one was all right. I liked it, but it is what it is. It's a goddamn monster movie, so I got to see Godzilla destroy shit. And in this movie, I got to see them fight, and that was cool. So yeah, I mean, like that's all I really have to say about it. There's not much to really go off of that. I mean, if they decide to make more, because people will go out and watch these movies, sure, keep making more. But I think that they're obviously very expensive because most of the fucking movies goddamn CG. So
Yeah.
And then next thing, Totodora. That's the sort of romance slice of life. Let me actually make sure I
Yeah,
get
I know this one's very famous. Right?
Yeah. So this one's very well known within the comedy drama slice of life romance genre. And the goddamn main girl, Taiga, she's a fucking what's it called, tsundere, like to the fucking extreme, bro. Like she will hit the fucking main guy Raiju like a bunch of times, and I'm just like, bro, what are you doing?
Damn, dude,
he's actually just getting abused. But how many episodes am I in? I think I'm like halfway through the series. There's only 24 episodes. I'm on 12. But yeah, so far so good. I don't really have much new to say about it. I mean, I can see why people like it a lot. I'm just gonna have to wait to see how it ends. I hear the later half might get worse. I'm not sure, but I'll be the judge of that. I've obviously watched a lot of romance slice of life within the past year, so. But yeah, this is just the one that people have talked about the most. The new Netflix anime Yasuke has come out. It's a 6-episode Netflix exclusive anime. I believe what it's called is a ONA, which is it's a online. Let me go and get the correct meaning. Original net animation. So that pretty much just means that it's a anime that is released onto the internet. And Netflix has done a couple of these before. I believe the most famous one that they did previously was Japan Sinks. But this one is about a black samurai within feudal Japan, and he's just doing some cool shit. So you get to see on how he became a samurai and the sort of trials and tribulations that he has to go through now. The one thing that I will praise the show for, I haven't finished it. I only watched the first episode and half of episode 1, or half of episode 2. So the one thing that I will praise the show for is the fact that they got a person of color, a black person, to voice the Japanese voice, and obviously the English voice as well. So props to them for doing that, because obviously what's it called? What's the goddamn word? Something in the sort of space. God damn it. The words are escaping me right now, unfortunately. Representation. Representation is obviously very important, and obviously with the whole Black Lives Matter movement last year, people were like, why is this white person voicing a black character? So now that this show has come out, I very much appreciate that they were able to go and get someone that is black to voice the Japanese dub. Personally, I am watching it English, just because the voice actor that plays Yasuke, he's been in a couple of movies that I have seen before, so I was like, let me see how his voice acting is, and so far so good. It is animated by Mappa, so obviously that is,
damn, they've been busy, dude.
that is some pretty exciting stuff. Right now on AniList, it's sitting at a average score of like 60, so I'm kind of sus about it, but hey, it is only 6 episodes, so it is obviously a pretty quick watch whenever I do get around to it. So I am excited to finish the rest and hopefully talk about it more next episode. But so far so good. I think the first episode does a really, really good job of setting up Yasuke and his story and this sort of journey that he's probably going to go on within the rest of the series. So the My Hero manga, I got towards the end of volume 25. I'm not towards the end of it yet. I can't really talk about it because obviously it's manga stuff. But the anime, it's so far so good. I think that, the sort of team ups and the, I guess, the class battles are pretty fun to see them just how they use their abilities against one another. So if you think it's boring now, just wait. I swear to God, I'm literally going to be that manga reader right
You're
now.
that guy now?
Yeah. I'm going to be that manga reader right now and be like, just wait. I swear to God, it gets better. Eden Zero is a manga that I read because one of my coworkers recommended it to me. And I was like, well, I want to, you know me, I like to get my shit physically. So I was like, let me go and buy the first volume at Barnes & Noble. So I did that and I read it. It was like the first 4 chapters in it. This is a series created by the person that did Fairy Tail. Literally, the main characters look just like the Fairy Tail characters. And the cat is the same name as the Fairy Tail name, which is Happy. He literally got transferred. Yep, he literally got transferred over. I think the reason why he did this was to start over because everyone knows that Fairy Tail is fucking bad or like has a reputation of being bad. There are people that do like Fairy Tail, which maybe one day I will give it a shot, but whatever that day comes, it's gonna be a long time from now. But anyways, Eden Zero. It's actually kind of good. I'm gonna be honest. I really liked the first volume so much so I ordered the rest of them on Right Stuff Anime, and those are supposed to come in the mail later next week. So I'm eager to read more of it because it is a fun shonen sci-fi series. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of mystery with our main character, and I think that this series can be a lot of fun. And the anime, it's supposed to be locked behind Netflix jail. So I believe it's airing right now in Japan, but it's locked behind Netflix jail. So along with Shaman King. So, 2 shonen animes locked behind Netflix jail. That sucks. But, whenever we do get them, I'm sure that once Eden Zero, the anime comes out on Netflix, a lot of more people will be interested in the series. And I'm sure it will not be as popular as Jujutsu Kaisen, but it can reach sort of like half of what JJK accomplished is what I'll say. It is good. I really do like it as like a action shonen series where, the characters like going up into space and, exploring planets and stuff. So Komi Can't Communicate is a manga that I also picked up at Barnes & Noble's because a lot of people say that it's good when it comes to the romance slice of life genre. So I was like, well, let me go and see how, this fares up. And the title pretty much describes this manga. She is the main character, Komi, and she can't really talk. Like, she has like crippling social anxiety. Like, she can't even say like, my name is Komi. Like, she like freezes up and it's cute. There's like 19 chapters within the first volume, which I was like, holy shit. But a lot of them are like really short stories. And the series is still going on. It's been going on since like 2017, 2018 or something like that. So people have been wanting a anime adaptation of this for a while, which I'm not sure how they would do that because the main character kind of just doesn't talk. But this one is definitely not for everyone. When I was reading this first volume, I was sort of like, all right, like when is this going to get interesting? I still bought a lot of the volumes just because I want to see where it goes. But definitely this one, I wouldn't recommend to everyone, and it definitely has a acquired taste when it comes to the romance, slice of life, comedy genre. Because, the funny moments are kind of funny, but they're not like, like when I'm reading Teasing Master Tagaki-san, like I'm actually like laughing and like, what the fuck's going on sort of shit. But this one, I'm sort of just like, oh, like that was cute. That was kind of funny. It's not like, haha laughing. Right. But I'm going to try to quickly go through my seasonal anime. All right, Tokyo Revengers. I'm probably not going to watch this until it ends because I was trying to watch episode 3 and I kind of fell asleep. So there's that. Don't Toy with Ms. Nagatoro.
Sus. She's sus, dude.
Yeah, she is sus. But this is definitely the anime of the season for me personally.
Yeah,
and
I know
think,
about it.
I think a lot of people should watch this. I think that, the whole like teasing genre and the sort of bullying aspect of this show, like she definitely goes to the fucking extreme, which can turn off some people. But after going, I believe it's like 3 episodes we're on right now, you can see like the sort of senpai and relationship that she has with him. And it's funny. It's cute. It's entertaining. I will say that. I shaved and took in a high school runaway. There's 4 episodes out right now. It's getting really fucking interesting now because I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's getting interesting. I think once you get through the first 2 episodes, you could decide if you want to continue watching or not. But you know, it's a I believe this one is categorized as drama. I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, so there are like drama elements to it with the sort of main protagonist and a bunch of the other girls within the show. Rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose. It's whatever. It's definitely mid. You don't have to watch it. But yeah, that's everything I have been doing. So now let's get into the Ratchet and Clank and sort of let's get into the Ratchet and Clank and what's it called, the PlayStation State of Play, which really was just the Ratchet and Clank show.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's talk about the sort of name reveal and the first gameplay thing that they showed, which was like less than 2 minutes. So what'd you think, Damien? I mean, you know, I was pretty pogged out of my mind, gonna be honest.
I watched this trailer like at least like 40 times. I'm not gonna lie. So obviously, like if you listen to the podcast since we started, you know that I kind of like Ratchet and Clank. So I am very excited for this, and you know, I'm happy we finally got a name for the female Lombax, and it's Rivet. I think a lot of people predicted that because I think they teased something about Rosie and then Rosie the Riveter, and then people saying it's either Rosie or Rivet, and now it's Rivet. I think that's a good name. You know, it rolls off the tongue. You know, nice and simple. You know, I still really like her design and stuff like that. Her gameplay looks about the same as Ratchet. They haven't really shown anything that makes me see it as any different, as we'll talk about more in the State of Play gameplay. But yeah, just from this trailer alone, it was like super nice. You know, everyone was just blown away by the visuals, and I am too. It kind of makes me feel like when I first saw Tools of Destruction for the first time. You know, I was just like, games literally cannot look any better than this, and obviously they do. But as a dumb kid, I didn't know. I was literally like, yo, games cannot look any better than Tools of Destruction. Like, that actually blew my mind. I felt that same exact way watching this trailer. Like the amount of density in all the locations, how like much details in there, like everything just looks fantastic. You know, obviously I'm very excited to see whatever the story implications are. You know, I don't know if it's gonna do some crazy stuff or what. But yeah, just from this gameplay trailer, it was just really cool to see all this stuff. You know, just see some bits of Rivet doing stuff and Ratchet doing stuff. You saw some new weapons in there. It was just a really good trailer. So. I don't know if you have anything to say.
I mean,
yeah.
Look, when I watched this, I was like, man, why am I getting chills watching a fucking Ratchet and Clank trailer?
Oh, yeah.
This shit was honestly like very cool to see. Just them going through the different locations and the sort of visual fidelity that this game is like showcasing. I'm just like, man, fucking Insomniac are like fucking insanely good at what they're doing. And I cannot wait to see what they do with Spider-Man 2. Just because I'm sure we all know that shit's gonna come, but them always, you know, emphasizing the sort of, you know, PlayStation 5, like they wouldn't be able to do this without the PS5's power, which is very true. I think that a lot of what this game is showcasing with these sort of dimensional jumping, instantly going from one planet to another, and the gameplay with Rivet, I think Rivet as a name is better than Rosie, because I think Rosie is a much more common name than Rivet. You know, no one fucking names their daughter Rivet. And
yeah, Rivet.
You know, if you did, you are very, very unique, sir or ma'am. But anyways, yeah, I think Rivet's gameplay being very similar to Ratchet makes sense, because she is supposed to be this sort of dimensional counterpart to him, and from what it looks like, what I'm going to predict is that like most of the game you're probably going to be without Clank as Ratchet, and most of the game Clank's going to be with Rivet, and it's sort of going to be like a cat and mouse sort of chase between the two Lombaxes. But yeah, I am very, very much excited to go and see how this story plays out, because we are, you know, within a brand new Ratchet and Clank experience, which we have not seen since the PlayStation 3. So it's been a very, very long time, and I am very, very excited to jump back into the Ratchet and Clank universe, just because of how beautiful the game looks as well, and everything we've seen with the gameplay. And I hope a lot of people get into or back into Ratchet and Clank because of this game, just because the PlayStation 5, you know, we just got Returnal, which is fine, but that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I might pick it up. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, definitely Ratchet and Clank is the next big hitter for the PlayStation 5. So
yeah, and it's crazy that the first two like big, or I guess first three big PS5 exclusives is a soul, like a Souls game, which isn't for everyone, a roguelite, which isn't for everyone, and a freaking 3D platformer. So it's been really a really weird launch. Like, I've been loving it, but still, it's been a really interesting launch like sort of window here. But yeah, I guess we could just talk about the state of play because I have a lot to say about the when they show the gameplay. But I guess first, we got Among Us, Ratchet Clank looking sus. Woo! So yeah, Ratchet Clank is in Among Us, and obviously it's going to be on PS4 and 5 now, Among Us anyway. But I guess it's cool, I guess.
Hey, like, people still like playing Among Us, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to be honest. I think that game has sort of ran its course for me personally. But yeah, I mean, it's coming to more platforms, which we love to see within indie developers, sort of expanding the platforms that they can reach. So, and it's on PlayStation, so they got that exclusive Ratchet Clank skin. So
yeah, so that's pretty cool. But obviously the main show of the state of play, which they said, and some people were mad because like, where's God of War when they said it was supposed to be 15 minutes of Ratchet gameplay. We got Ratchet gameplay. So yeah, they showed the first. I'm assuming the first like area you're gonna be in is like that not Nefarious City is gonna be like Metropolis or whatever they call it in this game is going to be like that area. Then you go to Nefarious City, I guess. But yeah, just by them showing let me click on the video just so I could have references to what I'm talking about. When you first go to like that city and like to just do that shot, it's just like, damn, dude, why does this look better than Cyberpunk? Like, isn't it? It's crazy, like how much like graphical fidelity. Like I know like graphics aren't everything, and but like, damn, dog, like Estoniak is killing it with the amount of detail and just how good it looks. Like this is such a good showcase for the PS5. Like everything about it just looks like phenomenal. Like it's crazy. And obviously the gameplay again is Ratchet and Clank. Not too much to really say at this point when they're just showing Ratchet just running around. But then later on in the thing, Ratchet gets some new moves finally, and I think this is one of the first times he gets a huge change to his like initial moveset, being that he could like dash now. Ratchet could have never done that before. If anything, Ratchet was always, I don't want to say immobile, but he's always been like, he could do backflips and stuff, but that's about it. But now Ratchet has gained some more platforming to us. So now he could wall run like Crash, and he could like dash as well. And this could obviously help with, to show some cool things you do with the platforming when you're like wall running, and then you could do a slingshot and then like do a dash and stuff. So that really is going to help with the platforming, and dashing is also just good in general for combat and stuff. And I think that's some really good mobility for Ratchet to have, and it's going to make the gameplay even better and more fast paced than it usually is, which I always think that's just a great addition to the game, honestly.
Yeah, I think everything within the showcase, graphics, gameplay, like everything was shown perfectly. I hate to use that word, but like it was shown like really, really well, and I think that it really does set up like what this game is going to be. I mean, like you said, like the whole Nefarious City with all of the cars, the sort of lighting effects, the everything, like it just looks so good, and I cannot believe that Ratchet and Clank is able to look this good, especially for a platformer from the goddamn PS2 era can now look this good today. And with the sort of setup of the gameplay and the setup of the story, it just tells me that like Insomniac Games still have, I guess, a handful of ideas for Ratchet and Clank. And obviously with the help of recent, platformers such as Crash 4, the whole wall running thing and the dashing ability that Ratchet now has, I'm assuming that's because they don't want him to feel limited in mobility when you switch between Ratchet and Rivet. So they gave him these extra moves that I'm sure he's going to get within the club or whatever, which they didn't show because, they just wanted to, I guess, keep that part a secret. But yeah, everything from the gameplay, the graphics, it just looks great. And I cannot wait to actually play this game because, just seeing how the city is and how we're able to jump from one planet to another instantly is just... I feel like that this is going to push the PS5, maybe not to its limits, but show us what the PS5 can do as of right now.
Yeah, and them just sort of just going over like everything that's going to be in the game, like it really shows like like they really want to push this as a full-length Ratchet and Clank game. They keep saying this because the last full-length Ratchet and Clank game was A Crack in Time, which came out like 11 years ago at this point. Like
Yeah.
all the other Ratchet and Clank games that came out have been spin-offs or shorter games, like Into the Nexus and the 2016 game. No, they were just shorter, and they were still great games, but like they were just not as extensive as the Crack in Time, as that was like sort of like the last sort of mainline Ratchet and Clank game. This one they said they added is going to be like these tiny little pocket dimensions, which I'm assuming are going to be like either like the things from Sunshine, where they're like hard platforming challenges or combat challenges, or they're going to be more like the different moons in A Crack in Time, where you could like fly to them. That like again different combat challenges or platforming challenges. There's gonna be Clank puzzles, like just like Crack in Time. There's gonna be a lot of gameplay variety to show, like aerial combat, and like I guess it was a hacking mini game they showed. I didn't know what that was, but there's just a bunch of different stuff they were showing off, and it really seems like it's gonna be a really big game, and I'm really excited for that because again the last big Ratchet and Clank game was so long ago that I'm very happy to see Insomniac go full on with Ratchet and Clank again, and I hope this sort of spins off into like a new trilogy or something, because that would be really cool to see, like either this game, maybe a smaller spin-off game like Miles or Quest for Booty, and then maybe another big game. But I'm not going to put too much money into that, because obviously games take a lot longer to make now, but I'm very happy to see that they're putting so much effort into this game, and all the new weapons they were showing off looks really cool too, like that like sort of like sprinkler that makes people into grass, this giant just like laser cannon that looks really fun. Yeah, so obviously the game just looks fantastic. I'm just like gushing now, but still, like, it just looks really good. Obviously, like I think the ultimate flex was when they were fighting that boss fight, and when they, obviously you could go to a different dimension, but the boss goes with you to that dimension, and then you continue fighting the boss. They say like it loads the whole level like just instantly, and then you fight the boss in that tiny arena. I'm like, that's just such an unnecessary like flex. Like it just seems so unoptimal to load a whole thing just to fight the boss, but like you could do it, so why not? So that just seems really cool. And yeah, obviously I'm just very excited for it. It's always great to see another 3D platformer come back, and Ratchet and Clank is one of my all-time favorite like video game series ever, and seeing it in such like just in such big production value and stuff just makes me very happy. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also just as excited, maybe a little less than Damien, but
Yeah.
Still Ratchet and Clank is, a very awesome platforming series, and I'm glad that it is still around after all of these years. And maybe this could, like you said, spin off into more games. Maybe even other platforming series come back, like maybe Naughty Dog is like, hey, like they made a shit ton of money with Ratchet and Clank, which I hope they do, because it is definitely going to be hard to sell a $70 platformer to consumers.
I pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I mean, you pre-ordered it along with the other, diehard Ratchet and Clank fans, but it's definitely going to be hard to sell a $70 game to the average, I guess, PlayStation consumer. And the, I guess, accessibility options that they added in, just like with everything that PlayStation has been doing, the photo mode, like I just cannot wait to go and see what other stuff Insomniac Games has managed to pack in here, because like they are treating this just like any other first party game that they would handle, just like with Spider-Man, just like with Miles Morales, and now with this game, they are putting just as much attention and just as much care as they would with any of those titles that I just mentioned. So I'm very happy and very glad with Insomniac Games that they are making this with as much care as they are, and it definitely shows within the presentation and obviously within the gameplay. So
hell yeah, very excited for it.
Yep. All right, so last part of the show is the Captain, or God damn it, he's not Captain America just yet. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 6. We're going to be talking about spoilers for this. So if you guys do not want to hear us spoil the show, it's already been out for like a week or whatever. So if you still haven't watched it yet and you still have somehow not yet been spoiled, don't watch or don't listen to us talk about it. But if you guys don't care or already know what's going to happen, feel free to stick around. So the finale, I thought was great. I mean, honestly, when I was watching it, I think when Sam came out as a Captain America, I was just like, yep, that's fucking Captain America. And his suit and everything like that, I thought looked really good, despite it looking just like it did in the comics. And, some people will say that suit looks like shit. Me personally, I think that it looks great, and I'm sure that when he does get his Captain America 4 and when he appears in other movies, they're probably gonna change the suit up just a little bit, just like what they would do with Captain America. But I mean, what do you think about the finale?
I liked it. Yeah, his suit I thought looks good. Like, I think it's just like his neck, like sort of like weird neck brace thing. I think that could you could just take that out, but I think the rest of it looks fine. Like I don't know how else you would do like a Captain like Falcon looking like armor. You know what I mean? Like it looks about what I expected it to look like. I kind of like the white and like the black. I mean, I'm not black, the red, white, and blue and stuff like that. Like, but it mostly being white, I think it looks pretty sick. Obviously the finale just overall I thought was pretty good, just a lot of action stuff, and then you have all your wrapping up of loose ends at the end, which we could talk about that when we get to it, but for the most part I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good show. I think it's I thought I liked the show a little more than WandaVision, but now I think it's kind of on par with it, I guess. Like it's kind of hard how I even rank these shows, but that's still meaning like I really like these a lot, and I think they were a great addition to like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just like I think it just shows that like Marvel can make really good TV shows as well, and sort of expand on the MCU and stuff. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with both shows, and I am happy with how this show ended as well.
Yeah, I think the context of the of this finale in particular, they only had this episode to like wrap everything up, so some of it might felt a little bit too fast paced, which we'll get into more detail in just a little bit. But the action sequences I definitely enjoyed, just seeing all of our heroes, save people, and when Bucky was thanked, he was like, "Oh shit, I guess I am a good guy." Like that was kind of funny and kind of cute to see. But yeah, I think that Sam's speech, especially towards the end, some people might think that it's like phoned in or whatever, but like I think that speech that he did on like live TV in front of those senators or whatever, I think that was definitely important, because obviously all eyes were on him, and he had to sort of be like, hey, we need to like change, and you gotta stop using these terms like thug and refugee and all of this other stuff, because like obviously he was like, well, how did you feel when you were in that car and all of that other stuff. I thought that was like that speech as a whole, and like Sam's, I guess, arc within the show when he like shows Isaiah him being inside of the museum. I thought I didn't even think that was gonna happen, but obviously like Sam's Captain America for a reason, right? So him showing that to Isaiah, I thought that was definitely a fitting conclusion for that character, because that was definitely a loose end that needed to be tied up.
Yeah, I did like how they tie in the Isaiah stuff with like sort of Sam's whole thing of becoming Captain America, like how it represents like all of America, I guess, because Steve Rogers was like a good dude, but I think it showed that when John Walker was becoming Captain America, it kind of shows like the wrong side of America. You know what I mean? Like a more patriotic, more like or I guess blind patriotism and like rage and stuff like that. And I think that Sam's Captain America does a better job of including everyone and more minorities and stuff like that. And I just think it just adds like like a modern day thing of how a Captain America would be nowadays, I guess. I can see why some people might feel that Sam's speech was a little forced, but I think it ties into themes of what they wanted to do. Maybe they could have done it a little more subtly, but I feel like at that point you kind of can't. Like, I get like you're just frustrated, like you just want to say how it is, and I totally like understand. Like, I thought it was a good speech, but like, I know some people might feel like that, but like you want to make it subtle, but then people won't get it even in like real life. If you were saying like you kind of just gotta say it, like like that's how it is, And again, with the thing with the museum, I thought was a really touching thing and stuff, and really showed that like, yo, you really helped me out, like really understood like what to be, how to be Captain America, or like I want to be Captain America, even though if America doesn't want me and stuff like that. So yeah, I just thought it was all good, fitting conclusion for Sam, and just that whole arc with Isaiah's like sort of like missing, representation in U.S. history. So I thought it was good. I thought it wrapped up all his stuff very well.
Yeah. I think Bucky, some people will say that like he was sort of shafted within the show, which to some extent he was. I think that they definitely could have used him a little better, but then again, this show was mainly about trying to get Sam to be Captain America. I think that was the main point of this show, is to just have him transition into that role, and obviously like that was done pretty well, I think. But Bucky, him having his sort of like redemption moment at the end with the old guy, and that's sort of happening. I think everyone can agree with like that was done a little too fast. I think that him being like, I killed your son. Why? Because I was the Winter Soldier. And then he just walks out. I was like, wait, what the fuck just happened? And then he sees him at the bar, and the girl sees him there, and she doesn't do anything about it. I'm like, wait, what the fuck just happened? And then it goes into the I guess last part of the show with them at I guess by the dock and sort of like celebrating and all of this other stuff, but.
Yeah, I definitely think Bucky's like that last bit with Bucky was way too fast. Like I felt like it was probably because again the show was only 6 episodes, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I definitely felt like they should put a little more effort into that last bit. I guess not more effort, but just some more time.
Yeah, just like more time. Just like hold this shot. Have him explain himself. Because they probably could have made this a little over an hour. I'm not even sure how long this finale was.
I think it was like 50 minutes.
Yeah, so like they could have added like a couple of extra minutes to like tie that up, because that was literally set up from like episode 1 or 2, and like for have it to end at the end there with like it end like just like instantly. I was like, oh, that was kind of bad.
Yeah. I don't know. It just felt a little too fast, and the show was more about Sam than Bucky at the end of the day, and that's just kind of how it was. I do wish he did get a little more like effort into that bit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just felt like he kind of deserved a little more than what he got, but at that point it was kind of just more like Falcon and some Winter Soldier rather than Winter Soldier. But yeah, I'm not really complaining that much about it. But yeah, I felt like his last bit there should have been a lot longer than it was.
Yeah, and I just think that when it comes to, oh my god, John Walker. John Walker's like redemption at the end where he like saves those people. I'm like, all right, I guess like he knows what he's doing, but like still like this motherfucker killed someone in broad daylight as Captain America. So I think that what's it called? One of the directors, showrunners, I forget. She said that like by the end you would like John Walker, but I'm like,
I don't like him.
And then she said, I think I did that. I was like, no, you fucking did not. Get the hell out of here. Because like you said, I also don't think that he deserved that redemption at the end. I think that him running around with Sam and Bucky, like as the good guys, I was like, I don't know if that was earned. And him being USA agent, I don't know where they're gonna go with that. Like obviously like that's what he becomes in the comics, but I feel like that his character sort of ran its course in the show. I'm not sure how he's gonna play within the rest of the MCU, whether they're gonna do a season 2 of this show or what, or like maybe a spin-off show. I have no idea what Marvel has planned, but I think that John Walker, like he was a very, very good antagonist for the show, but they decided to, I guess, cut him short and sort of redeem him at the end to have more room for Carly, which I think a lot of people will also agree that Carly and the Flag Smashers as a whole were sort of the weakest part of the show.
Yeah, I felt like they kind of went in a weird reverse like thing. Like I'd rather have Carly get redemption and have John Walker be the main villain, because I feel like John Walker again was an extremely good villain. Like he was like scary, he was menacing, like he was just a psychopath, and then they made him the good guy for like no reason. Like I need to save people now, and everyone's just okay with that. Like I don't know, man. Like he had like a really good thing going, and I felt like kind of just ruined it by trying to make him like a good guy, even though he really didn't deserve it. I don't know. I felt like his character got really confused on what they wanted him to be, because I feel like as a good guy, he just doesn't fit it as well as being the villain. I felt like it would have been really cool to see him as just like an ongoing threat as a super soldier and stuff, and maybe he could have gotten his own shield. I know it's always the trope with Marvel stuff like, oh, here's evil Captain America, but I thought it would have been good because like he actually had like a good character going on, unlike all those other characters that are like that. So yeah, I felt like they kind of really messed up John Walker's character by the end. Like I felt like it would have been better if he just stayed the villain. And Carly, the Flag Smashers, just kind of got annoying. Like they kind of just got like especially when Carly was like talking to Bucky, it's like, you don't know what it's like to save or sacrifice yourself. I'm like, yeah, bro, you're talking to a guy who like defeated Thanos. What are you talking about?
You don't know what it's like to fight for something that's bigger than you. I'm like,
what?
Didn't this motherfucker fight in World War II? What's going on?
That too. I was like, what are you talking about?
I was like, the irony in this conversation realization. I was like, what the fuck? But also, like, when Bucky was like, fuck, she tricked me, I was like, what do you mean she tricked you? You should have known that, like, she's trying to distract you or whatever, which, you know, plays into some people's criticisms about the show where it's like, you know, Sam and Bucky are just losing every fucking fight, which, like, you know, it is what it is. I think that, you know, criticisms like that are warranted and sort of fair, but personally, I really don't care about those. But yeah, the Flag Smashers and, you know, Carly, I think that they could have done a better job with Carly, but I feel like once she sort of lost trust within Sam when, you know, John Walker just fucking barged in or whatever, she just went off the deep end, and the show writers just like didn't care what they were doing with her because, you know, they're like, all right, yeah, fuck it, now she's a full-blown terrorist or whatever. So but yeah, Shannon, you know, I think everyone fucking called it, including you.
Yeah, she's a power broker. I mean, I thought she was being mad sus about everything she was doing, and like, yeah, she's the power broker. I mean, I know she was pissed off about the whole Civil War thing, but like, damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy when you think about it because she was introduced in Winter Soldier and she was sort of like the love interest to Steve Rogers because she was like the next door neighbor. And then it revealed that she was part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of this other stuff. So, you know, it is a little insane that she went off this far into the deep end because of everything that happened within Civil War. But I'm sure that story will hopefully be told well to sort of justify how she became who she is now. Because obviously when characters do this like complete like 180, for example, within this is gonna sound really fucking insane, but like in Sly 4 with like Penelope,
yeah.
You know, like when she did her whole like reversal, like that was explained, but it wasn't explained well, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm running with this. So I hope that they're able to, you know, explain why she became the power broken, why Shannon is the way she is today. But yeah, that sort of after credit scene where she got, you know, sort of sworn back into the U.S. government, and I was like, uh-oh, this shit's not gonna end well.
Yeah, this shit's just like hacker voice I'm in. So she's in there now.
But I mean, overall, like, still, I feel like I would have to rewatch this show in particular to like fully understand whether I like this more than WandaVision or not. I feel like I do, just because it's a lot more action, and I always liked Sam and Bucky as like the sort of side characters to Steve Rogers, and this show just pretty much fleshes out especially Sam's character more and just gives us a reason to sort of root for them when we get back into the movies and when they are shown sort of presented again, because, you know, like Sam and Bucky, they're, like I said, just the side characters to Steve, but this show really made them into full-blown characters, especially Sam, obviously, because now he's Captain America.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think I do like the show a little more than WandaVision. You know, they're both, I think, really great shows, and like, you know, obviously I'm gonna like this more because I like the Captain America stuff a lot. But overall, I felt like it probably could have done with another episode or something. Like, it probably could have been like maybe one more episode to just flesh some things out. Maybe flesh Carly out a little more.
Yeah. Maybe like slow the pace down a little, because obviously this show moved very, very fast.
Yeah, I feel like the main issue, and I think this is a common thing with most MCU stuff, is the villains. Like, I think Carly and the Flag Smashers needed a little more, and I think they just went the totally wrong direction with John Walker in general. You know, Zemo I thought was great. Like, Zemo was cool throughout most of the series. He didn't really do much towards the end. You know, he kind of just went back to jail. But you know, I felt like John Walker was a big misfire. Like, he was like super great, but I think they just went the wrong direction, or maybe they just did it wrong. Like, they just made him too hateable from the start, and then like trying to redeem him is just like, what, why? And then I think Carly just like, she just kind of got annoying by the end. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I felt like they could have done a bit more to make her a little more. Like, I get it that she was really hurt when like John Walker was like, you know, discredited and betrayed everyone and whatever. But I don't know. I feel like those are the 2 points that kind of like stick on it a little more. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it did feel a little too fast-paced. I felt like I could have done with one more episode. But for the most of the part, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when they introduced John Walker within what was it, like episode 3, episode 4, or whatever, you know, when they introduced him as like the new Captain America, I was like, oh, okay, you know, like this is what the U.S. government wants, and he's sort of like the cookie cutter sort of, you know, guy to do this, and you know, he was trained for it, and et cetera, and you know, he didn't have the serum at the time, so you know, but obviously he was a asshole towards Sam and Bucky when he was like, stay the hell out of my way. I was like, yep, this is not Captain America. But you know, everything happens for a reason, and obviously the show just wanted to show what would happen if Sam didn't become Captain America, which is why Steve sort of handed it down to him in particular. And obviously Sam had to, within the show, realize that, like, you know, why was the shield given to me, and why was I chosen for this job? And, you know, he sort of discovered that within himself, and sort of, you know, obviously with the whole angle about being a black man within America, and with Isaiah coming in, I think that Isaiah definitely plays a huge, crucial role within Sam's perspective on everything within the country. So yeah, overall, I still think Falcon and Winter Soldier is a really, really good show. I know that there's, you know, some people within our friend group that don't like it as much, but you know, it is what it is. I still really appreciate it, just because I love you know, the action, the characters, and the way that everything was fleshed out. So
yeah, I agree.
All right, so is there anything else that you'd like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis Damian Podcast once again, and we will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.